Welcome everyone to Bitcoin for Beginners. I'm Zach, the head of education and content with Bitcoin Well. And today we're going to teach you the basics of Bitcoin, primarily how to get set up with your own wallet safely, how to make sure that you know how to send and receive Bitcoin from that wallet, and how to back it up and know that you know how to restore that wallet, given if anything happens to your phone or device that has the wallet on it. Now, normally I have a co-host, Conrad, couldn't be with us today. So you're going to miss out on his presentation, unfortunately, but it's already recorded and on YouTube if you want to go to youtube.com/BitcoinWell, or tune in next month when we do another show of this and you'll be able to see Conrad's presentation. But it does mean that we're going to get right to the meat of it, because my focus is more on the step-by-step process, like I said, of how to set up a Bitcoin wallet. So at the very end, save your questions or go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll have a section at the end of Q&A. I'll go through all your questions and answer anything that you have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the presentation today, how to use Bitcoin. All right, so first things first, you need to choose a wallet. And there are different kinds of wallets, so I'm going to go real basically over the differences here. If you want more in-depth, I actually just recently did a full presentation on YouTube about different kinds of wallets, hot wallet and cold wallets, and what's the difference. But just very basically, your Bitcoin, it doesn't live on the wallet itself. It lives on the blockchain. And the wallet has your seed phrase on it, which is basically a key that can unlock and send your Bitcoin. Now, so the differences lies in how that seed phrase is created and stored. So on a hot wallet, this is normally an app that's going to be on your phone or computer. When it generates a new wallet, the seed phrase lives in that device. So we call it hot because that device is connected to the internet, which means there is always a risk that someone could hack your device and gain access to the seed phrase. And your Bitcoin wallet really is the seed phrase. So if someone is able to steal those words, they're able to generate that wallet on their own device and send your coins. So there is a risk with hot wallets in that way. Now, I've never known anyone or had my own wallet hacked in this way or had funds stolen. But because there is an inherent risk to hot wallets, I always tell people, treat it like you would your actual wallet. You know, you're not going to walk around with thousands of dollars of cash in your wallet, but you wouldn't think twice about walking around with $100, you know, in your actual wallet. So a hot wallet is more for like spending money, or just when you're just starting out and learning how Bitcoin works. You have a few $100s in there. It's not the end of the world if something were to happen to that, but we are going to show you how to do it as safely as possible, so you obviously won't have any issues. But a cold wallet is more, if you do start having a lot of money, if you have $1,000 or a few $1,000s of Bitcoin and you want to store that for the long term safely, you're going to want to use a cold wallet. Now, what that is a special device. It looks like one of these here in the image on the bottom there. It's a separate computer that doesn't connect to the internet specifically, and it generates your seed phrase on the device itself and keeps it stored securely in its own chip. So it's not something that's going to connect to the internet. It doesn't have the risk of being stolen. It's called cold because it's not connected to the internet, and usually it just sits there off until you're going to use it. It's not like a phone or a normal computer that you're going to use to browse the internet or something like that. They also have a really cool feature. Some of them do. If you want to keep it completely disconnected, like never even plug it into your computer, you can actually create a transaction on your computer or phone, and then save that transaction as what's called an unsigned transaction. Save that to an SD card. Then you take the SD card out, plug it into your cold wallet or hardware wallet. It signs the transaction, and then you plug that back into your computer, and your Bitcoin wallet software will then send that signed transaction into the network. It keeps it completely disconnected, so there's basically zero risk of your signature or your seed phrase leaking onto the internet. So those are the main differences. And today we're going to start with a hot wallet. That's what we're going to be talking about. But everything I'm going to be saying can be used if you had a cold wallet as well. This is just the easiest way to get set up. And like I said, if you're only dealing with a few $100s, the risks are very minimal. But just know that once you start getting into higher amounts of Bitcoin, you're going to want to invest in a cold wallet device. So today we're going to be talking about Blue Wallet specifically, simply because it's easy to use. It's Bitcoin only, so there's no altcoins or distractions in the app. It's non-custodial, which means you hold your own keys, which is something we promote heavily with Bitcoin Well. We also never hold your Bitcoin at Bitcoin Well. We want you to be custodial. So we would support a wallet like Blue Wallet where you actually hold your own keys and you're not having to trust a third party to actually own your Bitcoin for you. It's available on iOS or Android, and it's 100% free. It's easy to set up. You just need to go into the App Store, either on your iPhone or the Google Play Android store, search for Blue Wallet, and download and install the app. You can also go to their official website to get an official link to download the app. This is an extra step you might want to take, just because with Bitcoin, there are fake apps in the App Store that are designed to make you think you're creating a new wallet, but it's actually a pre-generated wallet and they'll take your funds from you. This actually happened recently with Ledger. There was a fake app in the App Store claiming to be the Ledger Live app. So you want to make sure that you're downloading it from the official source, either when you're doing it on your phone or computer. Just make sure that you're in the right place, that this is actually their website and their app before you get going. All right, so the first step is going to be to create the wallet. So once you have it downloaded and installed, you're going to want to open Blue Wallet, tap Add Wallet from the home screen, and select Bitcoin on-chain. Specifically, you want on-chain Bitcoin, not a Lightning wallet, and sometimes they have other types of wallets in there. Keep it as simple as possible. You want the basic Bitcoin wallet when starting out, and then tap Create to create that wallet. So what that's going to do is show you immediately the seed phrase that it generated randomly to create your personal Bitcoin wallet. Now it looks like this. Sometimes it's 12 or 24 words. Blue Wallet uses the 12 words. It's these exact words in this exact order is your wallet. This is the seed phrase that creates all of your addresses and your public addresses where you receive Bitcoin. It's also the seed phrase that signs transactions, which is how you can send your Bitcoin from the wallet. Now, the words themselves are not the seed phrase. It's basically a layer that people wrote into the Bitcoin code. These words translate into a 256-bit key, which is your private key. But they've translated it into words, so it's easy to remember and write down and save. So, and that's the first thing you're going to want to do when this pops up. You're going to want to write down these words in order. The order is specific. If you mix it up, it's a different wallet. For long-term storage, you might want to engrave it onto metal. They sell kits that are very inexpensive on Amazon, where you can hammer in your seed phrase into metal so you can store it for long-term storage. Never, ever, under any circumstance, take a picture of the seed phrase, because again, the seed phrase is your wallet, really. Anyone can take this and restore your wallet. So you don't want this getting on the internet. And if you're taking a picture these days, it almost guaranteed to go into a cloud storage somewhere where someone can scrape it and find it. So don't take a picture of it. Don't text it. Never share it with anyone, including members of Bitcoin Well or people claiming to be members of Bitcoin Well. If someone calls you and says, hey, I'm with customer service, I want to help you with your Bitcoin wallet, I need your seed phrase, they're scamming you. So never share this with anyone, unless obviously it's a family member that you trust to help you store it or something like that. But you want to save this in a safe place and don't ever let the internet access this. Now, the first step after you create your wallet is going to be to get some Bitcoin. So obviously we suggest using Bitcoin Well. But wherever you buy Bitcoin, make sure that you take it off the exchange and move it into your wallet, because that's our main focus. We never hold your Bitcoin. We immediately send anything purchased straight to your wallet. So step one is going to be to sign up. Go to bitcoinwell.com and click sign up, complete your registration and verify your identity. You'll have to do some KYC. Thank you, Uncle Sam. Or what do you have in Canada? You don't have an Uncle Canada. for making us do KYC on our customers, but that's what we have to do. You might need an ID, and then you'll have to add a bank account. So make sure that you know what bank account you want to set up, and set that up into our system, and then you're ready to get going. So once you've set that up, you've got the account, you've got your fiat on rails from your bank account set up. Then you need to connect your new wallet to your Bitcoin Well account. Because like I said, at Bitcoin Well, we don't hold your Bitcoin. So when you buy Bitcoin, it's not going to sit there on our account waiting for you to take it off. As soon as you buy that Bitcoin, we're going to send it to you. So we need a place to send it. So in Blue Wallet, you're going to open up the app. You're going to click on the wallet that you created, whatever you name that. And then on the bottom left, you're going to see the word receive, like you see in this picture here. You're going to click receive. And then it's going to pop up on the screen showing you a QR code and a string of numbers and letters, which is your public receiving address. Then you're going to go to the Bitcoin Well website. You're going to click on the dashboard and then click on wallets. So this one shows I have a couple wallets already set up. Yours is going to be blank there. You're going to click add wallet in the top right. Then it's going to ask you to name that wallet and plug in your Bitcoin address. So then looking at your Blue Wallet, you're going to have the QR code and the address popped up. You're either going to scan the QR code using your phone, or if you have a webcam on your computer, scan the QR code in. That's going to add it. Or you can copy and paste. Just click on the address itself on the Blue Wallet and copy that address and send it to yourself. Now, you don't need to have the fear about sharing this. This is a public address. Any receiving Bitcoin address is by definition public. It's like an email address that you're giving out to receive funds. So don't worry about copying and pasting it and sharing it in that way. You do want to make sure, if you are copying and pasting it and not scanning the QR code, just double check the beginning and ending of that string for your address and make sure that it matches up. There is malware out there that can interfere with a copy and paste, and you think you're pasting your address in, but you're actually pasting in someone else's address. They'll, like a man in the middle attack, they get in, they change that. Again, I've never had this happen in the over 10 years that I've been in Bitcoin, but it's just something to be aware of. And I'm just instinctual now. Whenever I copy and paste a Bitcoin address, I just double check that I did it correctly, because I want my funds to get where I want them to go. So that's it. Once you've saved the address, you've copy and pasted it and named it. Oh, thank you, Carl. Yeah, you don't need to add a Bitcoin in Canada because they use the e-transfers. That's correct. Thank you, Carl. That's only an American thing. All right, so when you buy your first Bitcoin, you're going to go to Bitcoin Well, and on the left, just click Buy Bitcoin. So you're going to choose the amount you want in fiat or in Bitcoin that you want to buy, and then click your payment method. So this is where you'll select the bank account that you attached earlier, or if you're in Canada, your e-transfer account. Then you're going to confirm the wallet, make sure that it's the wallet that you just set up, and that's where your funds are going to go, and then complete the order, and the Bitcoin is on its way to you. Just of note, if you're in the US, I know it's different in Canada, it's basically instantaneous thanks to e-transfers. In the US, you do have to wait like 2 to 3 business days for those funds to clear. We would immediately send you the Bitcoin if we could, but we're waiting for the fiat rails in that case. So it will take 3 days for that Bitcoin to show up in your wallet. Now, the nice thing is when you buy the Bitcoin, it's immediately locked in at that current price. So say you buy Bitcoin today, it's at $60,000. Then within those 3 or 4 days, it goes up to $70,000. You were locked in at $60,000. So you're getting the Bitcoin at the price that you bought it at regardless, even though you're having to wait for the funds to clear. Another thing to note about Bitcoin transactions, although they instantly show up once you send or someone sends you Bitcoin in your wallet, because Bitcoin is a decentralized public network, transactions are confirmed by the blockchain, by miners on the blockchain. So how that works is when you send a transaction, it's then in the mempool and it's waiting to be confirmed by a miner. So you can't, if you send someone Bitcoin or they send you Bitcoin, you can't immediately spend those Bitcoin until they've been confirmed. Now, the standard is usually about 6 confirmations, meaning your transaction has been mined, it's been processed by a miner, and it's confirmed on the blockchain. They want to wait for 6 more blocks to go through to make sure it's super double confirmed. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're moving Bitcoin around and you're trying to get funds to move and they won't move. That's usually why, because you're just waiting for the confirmations to go through to make sure that it's processed. Now, this is different if you're using Lightning Network. That's instantaneous and doesn't have to wait for mining, but that's a conversation for another day. Now, the next step is going to be make sure you can send Bitcoin out of this wallet. Now, I suggest here just selling some back to Bitcoin Well or whoever you bought it from. You can also create another wallet and send those funds to that wallet if you want to test it that way. I think it's just easy to learn the whole process to make sure you know how to buy and sell and send and receive. So why not combine those steps together? So you bought a little bit of Bitcoin. Now you want to sell it back and make sure you understand how to send the Bitcoin from your wallet. So on Bitcoin Well, you're going to log in. You're going to go over to the left-hand side where it says sell Bitcoin. You're going to enter a small amount and your payment details, where you want that funds to go, which bank account. And then you're going to open up your blue wallet. You're going to go back into that same wallet that you created before. Instead of hitting receive on the bottom there, you're going to click send. And then once you click send, it's going to prompt you to choose an amount that you want to send and where you want to send it. So here at Bitcoin Well, we've provided you with a QR code. That's where you're going to send those funds. And just of note, you don't have to put in an amount. Whatever you send from your wallet will automatically be sold. So you don't have to necessarily pre-choose the amount in our website there. But once you send it, you're just going to send it right to that QR code. Your app will usually prompt you to either copy and paste in the address you want to send it to, or scan it with your camera on your phone and scan the QR code. And then it will be sent instantly. Again, if you're in Canada, that will go through instantly through an e-transfer. It usually just takes a few minutes. In the US, again, you'll have to wait for the funds to clear. So it will take about 3 business days for those funds to show up in your account. Just another note on sending Bitcoin. Now, sending Bitcoin isn't the same as sending funds to the banks. It's a decentralized network where miners are paid to mine blocks and add transactions to the blockchain. Now, they're paid primarily right now through new Bitcoin being created, because every block mined on the blockchain creates a new Bitcoin, and the miners get paid for doing that work. They also get paid in fees. So what that means is every time you send Bitcoin on the network, you are choosing a fee to attach to that transaction. It's normally just a few pennies depending on the fee that you choose. But if you're in a hurry and you want to send Bitcoin faster, you can choose a higher fee. Now, most of the time, a fast fee is going to be the same as a slow fee unless the network is just crazy congested. And personally, I always just choose the lowest fee as possible because I don't want to spend my Bitcoin. So I want the cheapest possible transaction, and I'm okay waiting. But if you need to do it in a hurry, you can always choose a higher fee. It will usually recommend you, like these numbers on the right-hand side. These will change depending on the network. It's constantly scanning the network and seeing what is the current fee rate, what's happening on the network, how congested is it, and it will recommend you what is fast, what is medium, what is slow right now. And sometimes those will all be the same fee because it's not busy, so a slow fee is going to go through just as fast as a fast fee. Just something to keep in mind as an added layer of optionality there when you're sending Bitcoin. Now, the last step we're getting into is going to be proving that you backed up your wallet correctly. So before you do this step, double, triple check that you wrote down your 12 words properly. When you first create a wallet, it will prompt you with those 12 words, but there's a way to go into the wallet, look at the options of that wallet, and review those 12 words if you need to, and write them down. Because now what we're going to do is delete the wallet and then try to restore it from the seed phrase to make sure that we did it correctly. This is something you should always do with new wallets. But it's also something I recommend if you have long-term storage Bitcoin, especially something in a cold wallet that you're holding for years. Make this a regular thing that you do at least like once a year. Maybe bring your family into it. Pull out those 12 words, restore that wallet again, try to send some Bitcoin from that wallet. Just make sure you remember how it works, because you don't want to be in an emergency situation where all of a sudden you need that Bitcoin and it's been years since you've touched it and you don't remember how to do it. You want to make sure that you keep this fresh in your mind and that you're practicing the process. So how to do this on Blue Wallet, it's going to be a little different on every wallet, obviously, but on Blue Wallet, you're going to open up your wallet again. In the top right, there's those 3 little dots. You're going to click on that, which is going to open up the option, which is the screen on the far right there. And then you're going to click on the 3 dots again in the top right, and that's going to open up. It's hard to read there, but there's a little delete icon that appears when you click on that. You're going to click delete, and then yes, you're going to confirm that you want to delete the wallet. And now your Bitcoin wallet is gone. Except it's not, because we backed up the 12 words. And like I said, the 12 words are your Bitcoin wallet at the end of the day. So now you're going to want to restore this wallet. So you're going to go back to the front of the app where we hit create before and we created a new Bitcoin wallet. Instead of create, you're going to click import wallet. You're going to type in your 12-word seed phrase in order exactly. And then your wallet balance should appear, or the history. So if you did sell your Bitcoin like in the previous step, you shouldn't have any Bitcoin in the wallet, but you will see the history. You'll see that you received coins and that you sent coins. If you don't, then this is a different wallet and you've done something incorrectly. So this is a way to verify that you backed up your wallet correctly, that those 12 words are working, that is the same wallet that you created. And you can feel safe in knowing that you backed it up correctly for long-term storage. And that's it. So you've created a wallet, you've received Bitcoin, you've sent Bitcoin, you've bought and sold, and you've backed up your wallet correctly and restored it from scratch. And at the end of the day, that is Bitcoin. I mean, it's not really more complicated than that. Obviously, there's way more things you can get into. There's all kinds of nerdy safety things or different apps or protocols you can get into. But that same process is going to be really no different when you're using a hardware wallet either. The interface is going to be a little different, but all of those same systems are exactly the same when you're sending, receiving, and backing up and restoring. That is Bitcoin in a nutshell. So with that being said, let's look at the chat. Are there any questions today? And if you have any questions now, go ahead and put them in the chat and I will get to you. Paul saying, thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Paul. Let's see here. Jordan says, what wallet software is recommended for desktop? Again, we don't officially recommend any particular software. Personally, I run Bitcoin Core, which is the main Bitcoin software you can download from Bitcoin Core. I actually don't know the address offhand, but if you look up Bitcoin Core, you'll find it to download. And then that downloads the entire blockchain history. So that's like a heavy wallet. That's the real deal. It downloads the entire Bitcoin history once you first install it, and that takes a little bit. And then I don't actually use that software for my day-to-day transactions. What I do is download another piece of software that connects to the main Bitcoin Core wallet, and it uses the blockchain history from that to verify everything. Because I don't want to trust a third party. Like, for instance, if you're using a Ledger hardware wallet, you are trusting Ledger's servers because they don't allow you to run your own Bitcoin node and connect to it. You have to trust them with the history and checking transactions. If you download the core Bitcoin Core to your computer, you are verifying every transaction, including your own. You're not having to trust anyone else that those transactions are accurate. So what I do is I download the Bitcoin Core that has the whole history of Bitcoin on it. And then I use another software called Spectre. There's another software, I'm going to blank on the name of it right now, of course. It's got the bird as an icon. If anyone in the chat knows, let me know. But there's other software like Electrum that will connect to Bitcoin Core nodes and then let you run your software from there. And then I run a a Coldcard wallet, which is my hardware wallet, which then connects to Spectre and then allows me to sign transactions from there. So like if I just turned on my computer and opened up Spectre and the Bitcoin node was running, I wouldn't be able to send any Bitcoin from that. I would have to create a unsigned transaction, then connect that to my hardware wallet, sign the transaction, and then reconnect that to my computer and then send the transaction, which may seem like a lot, but to me, it's like, that's my bank account. I am my own bank, and I want it to be safe and secure. So I do everything I can to make sure that it's safe and secure. And you know, that's treated me well over the years. So let's move on. Jordan, can a wallet created in one app be restored in another app? Oops, I don't know what just happened. We just jumped. Wow, there it is. Can a wallet in one app be restored in another? Yeah, that's a great question, Jordan, because yes, it can. It is a standard. It's actually a BIP. I forget the BIP offhand. It's a Bitcoin implementation protocol that everyone shares those same seed phrases, which is your seed key. And those are the same regardless of what app you're using. I would say make sure that it does share it, but I haven't run across any that don't use it these days. It's just standard Bitcoin protocol. So yeah, those 12 words or 24 words on some apps, those are your Bitcoin wallet, because those generate all of your addresses and they sign transactions when you want to send Bitcoin. And if you take those words into any wallet and plug them in, any hardware wallet or hot wallet, it will be the same wallet. It doesn't make any difference. It's completely neutral in that way. It's not like proprietary that's stuck on Ledger or stuck on a Coldcard or stuck in a blue wallet. Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and they all use the same seed phrases. And I believe that's it for questions. I'll give just another minute here if anyone in the chat wants to ask anything. Again, this presentation will be sent to you in an email. So if you want to pause it, slow down, go through it step by step, that'll be very easy to do. And then there's also our previous webinar in this series is on YouTube as well. So if you want to see Conrad's presentation, which is all generally about like what is Bitcoin and why is it important, you can always watch it on there, or come next month and join us for that, and you'll see his presentation there. Do you have a favorite cold storage? I prefer Coldcard. I really like it. It's a little nerdy. It's maybe not the most user-friendly for newbies, but it's all very straightforward. Like I said, the same process that I just went through, it all works on that. It just may seem a little convoluted because you have this little device that you're having to type in passwords and things into. But I like Coldcard. It works great. And it allows me to be super secure because I don't even have to plug my Coldcard into my computer to sign transactions. I can download my transaction, unsigned transaction, to an SD card, and then I plug that card into my Coldcard to sign it, and then plug it back into my computer to broadcast my transaction to the network. So it's super secure, and that's what I love about it. I really like Bitkey, what they're doing. I helped set my mom up with a Bitkey because it's very user-friendly. It uses seed phrases, but they're in the background, so you don't ever have to see them or worry about them. And they do kind of a multi-sig setup where it's like a 2 of 3 multi-signature. So if something does happen to the wallet, they have a way to restore it and back it up. And they also have tools for like passing your Bitcoin on, like inheritance planning and things like that. I think that's really cool. We also support Jade Wallet. Jade Wallet does really good stuff. I've just never personally used it myself. But yeah, that would be my answer. Coldcard. And it's easy to remember. Cold storage, Coldcard. Kind of rolls off the tongue. Yeah, any other questions from the chat before we log off today? I know it was a little shorter because Conrad wasn't here. Sorry about that, everyone, but emergencies happen. But yeah, thank you all for coming. This was a great experience, and I appreciate everyone that did show up. Again, the video will be sent to you in email, or it'll also be on YouTube later this week. So I think that's it for now, if there's no other questions. All right, everyone, have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for coming. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.